It's time for Transport Line, the program that showcases the contributions of all modes of transportation to the socio-economic growth and development of our country, Africa, and the rest of the world. Transport Line is being beamed to you from the Center of Excellence, the state of aquatic splendor, and Africa's second largest economy, Lagos. I am Shino Ilegbede. Glad to know that you are keeping us company. It's been 2 years since President Bola Ahmed Tinubu took over leadership of Nigeria as the President and the Commander-in-Chief of the Nigerian Armed Forces. Well, among these ministries that he established, two are very, very germane and important to the Transport Line program. These are Marine and Blue Economy Ministry and Aviation and Aerospace Development. Well, as is traditional for us, we're going to take a closer look of the first 2 years of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu as it relates to transportation. So today we are going to kick off with the Ministry of Aviation and Aerospace Development. I have with me in the studio somebody that has a non-governmental organization called Aviation Roundtable and Initiatives. It's non-political, non-religious, and non-ethnic or anything. All they do is face Nigeria for the betterment of Nigeria. So I have with me in the studio the President of Aviation Roundtable and Initiative, retired Air Commodore Ademola Onitiju. You're welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you.
Well, Air Commodore, we're going to look at the Aviation Aerospace Development Ministry since Festus Keyamo took over SAN. How do you assess the first? I know it's not up to 2 years since Keyamo took over, but how do you assess his performance to date?
Thank you for the question. So far, so good. It can be better, but for now, I think it's relatively satisfactory. That's the performance of the minister, Olorogun Festus Keyamo, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, on the aviation saddle. There is much more to be done. If we were to look at what happened prior to his being appointed and coming into that industry, there are a lot of things that ought not be in the aviation sector, but which was. You may have heard of the scandal that surrounded the floating of Nigeria Air by the immediate past Minister of Aviation, and many other things that ought to have been addressed better. I understand it's under investigation, which is quite good. But if the purpose of government is the welfare and security of the people, I wouldn't give them pass mark. And that is in terms of what the traveling public presently experience. Airfares have gone up. Flights get cancelled without good reasons or satisfactory reasons. But much more importantly, the fact that airfare have skyrocketed, and we think that government should make deliberate efforts to address it. And addressing it has a lot of components. You have the cost of Jet A1, the aviation fuel, to contend with, and the inflationary trend that has affected many things in the land. Aviation is a catalyst for economic growth. Within economic growth, you have tourism, you have several allied industries, local industries in places where aviation is birthed or where they have airports. More activities from the airports, more for such commercial engagements. And we feel that government ought to arrange what will look like a palliative for the aviation industrial sector. And we thought that with Dangote refinery being here, government could come to agreement with Dangote and cause them to sell aviation fuel at a fixed but reasonable price. Call it 300 naira or 400 per liter. Why? You are selling for a naira here, and you can save for domestic usage, and you can restrict the sale only to local operators. For international airlines, they buy as the normal competitive international prices. But for local operations, you could peg that with a timeline, maybe say 24 months. That will go a long way. Then the other issue has to do with maintenance of the aircraft. Unfortunately, we do not have what we call an aircraft maintenance repair and overhaul center that is capable or equipped to do all the maintenance work on the aircrafts we have flying in the Nigerian airspace. Deliberate effort could be made to address the costs of maintenance, because all these take huge percentage of the capital of operators locally. And of course, the fluctuating naira dollar thing. Most things are denominated in dollars. And aviation is an international business. There is no exception for it. And with the way the Nigerian currency is relative to the dollar, government must make deliberate efforts. Again, that will be within the timeline. The central bank will be specifically instructed to keep borrowing, if it were to be borrowing, at single digits to aviation and aviation-related endeavors. So if all such are done down the aviation value chain, they wouldn't have a choice than to bring down the price of tickets. The more people that fly, the more the industry grows, and the more people will want to come into it. Aviation still remains the safest, the fastest mode of transportation. You know, so government needs to address it frontally, deliberate. You could have a timeline. You have an objective to attain. And that could be done. So all it requires is just the will and the focus to get it done. So it can be done.
Come on. Thank you very much for that, your brief analysis of the way we were in the roughly 2 years since President Bola Ahmed Tinubu came in as president, and using Festus Keyamo, SCN, as the minister. You mentioned two key issues, Jet 1, and of course, when you look at Dangote is now here. You mentioned probably you didn't put pressure as the quote-unquote ombudsman in the aviation sector for the minister to make sure that there is that negotiation between government and AON in Nigeria, so that they can get better deals. And like you said, we have reduction in prices of air ticket, because today the safest mode of transportation today is aviation, through the air. Go through the land, sea, and what have you, your security is never guaranteed. But the safest today, irrespective of what is air. But the issue now is you've identified it. So what has been done to get Mr. Festus Keyamo, SUN, to more or less negotiate with Dangote so that we bring down the cost of air ticket? Also, infrastructure development, division sector.
Yeah.
What are you doing so that they can address it? Because your body has a record of keeping government, successive government, on their toes. So what has been done?
Plenty. Several times we have reiterated the need to upgrade and make a better aviation infrastructure. That is in terms of navigational aids or even ground handling matters, weather forecast, and other including manpower training, competent persons, utilizing experienced people, those who are, even if they are retired but are still agile and mentally active, you could re-engage them on a contract basis to train young minds to build the gap, so that at any point in time you have competent persons in the regulatory institution, that's the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, or the Airspace and Management Agency, and well, for the facility managers, they too need to up their game. We have spoken several times on this. There have been recommendations. We normally hold quarterly business breakfast meeting at which important issues are discussed, interrogated, and experts will profile opinions and well-researched and practicable solutions. And we release this to the public, and sometimes, if not all of the time, we forward such proceedings, the report of such proceedings and the recommendations made to the Ministry of Aviation, Minister of Aviation, and the aviation agencies, especially those, most of the time, they are our focus that are concerned. We send it to them, and they will make a public release, a press release of such thing. So there isn't much that you can do other than that as a non-governmental, not-for-profit organization, but out of interest and passion to ensure the best for the industry, the sector. That's why we're Aviation Safety Roundtable Initiative. Safety is paramount. Safety can never be compromised when it comes to aviation. So we have been reiterating that, like the issue of infrastructure that you mentioned. I think I granted an interview sometime, and I emphasized the need for that to be updated. We have seen airports all over the world. Everything is getting digitized. And with developments in artificial intelligence, Nigeria should not be lacking. All we just need is to be focused and apply all these talents or the skills there, such that several things that you are having a crowd handling, technology has made it easy. You may not talk to anybody. You just go with your passport, and even with your passport or your fingerprints or face recognition, you check yourself in, you go through checks. You may not even encounter an individual because there are scanning machines there, and they can see virtually everything. So those are the things we think the government should focus on while they are still in office. For whatever it's worth, there were efforts that have been made, bold efforts by the minister, like making Nigerian aviation market more credible in the eyes of aircraft manufacturers and leasers, so that we can have more aircraft in the Nigeria airspace. That is, he did that through the Cape Town Convention on Air Assets and Machines. Hitherto, they have encountered difficulties in retrieving the aircraft that are leased to Nigerian companies and who default in repayment or renege agreements, there have been many obstacles, procedural, that has affected such lessors or partners with Nigerian companies. So with Festus Keyamos coming in, he addressed that frontally by causing practice directions, that is, creating a special procedure within rules of court, whereby all such attempts at stalling or frustrating lessors from retrieving their items or getting what is due to them within a reasonable time, to a large extent now. The orders have been removed. And it has really shored up Nigeria's image and reputation in the Committee of Nations. So we might have more aircraft, but as I said, satisfactory, but there is still more to do. If you are bringing more aircraft, can the people afford it? And that's why I said deliberate efforts to encourage more patronage by the traveling public, to embrace traveling by air. These are things that will give you multiple benefits in the nearest future. Because when more people are used and they have much more confidence and can afford to go by air, it becomes a culture. And the economy will be built around that side. And the present GDP, its contribution to the GDP will be enhanced. Because there will be more activities, because there are allied businesses that have to do with a good environment in the aviation sector. So if those deliberate policies, as I advocated, are done, it's possible. No one can tell us it's not feasible. All we just need is less of government, stronger regulations, strict adherence to rules, and put a level playing field for those with capacity, especially financial, to come into the industry. You make the best of it.
Thank you very much, President. Aviation Roundtable Initiative. You mentioned safety, which is very, very paramount. How will you relate or rate the safety record within the last 2 years, civil aviation industry?
I'm sorry?
Safety.
Safety.
Yes, you mentioned safety in your last response.
It's key.
And it's key, yeah, very key. But how will you assess the safety record in the last 2 years? Civil aviation
By the
industry.
spare grace of God, we have been lucky. They have been good, but it could be better. By that I mean, well, we've not had planes falling from the sky. We've not had fatal accidents. There have been incidences, and luckily they've not been as fatal as we have had sometime in the early 2000s. So we can attribute that to probably good conduct and professional competence on the part of the regulators. But like I did say, they should improve the human capacity development. They should enhance that and ensure strict adherence to rules by operators in the industry. I'm talking of the airlines now. Ensure that at any point in time, safety is not compromised in terms of maintenance checks, maintenance, and financial capability. And there should be strict adherence to good corporate governance principles, whereby you don't run such a sensitive venture on whims and caprices. You don't suddenly start enlarging routes, that is air routes, destinations, or embark on unbridled fleet acquisition. Not to now talk of diversion of proceeds that could lead to violation of several settled agreements. You know, those are, and then insurance, key. You don't compromise on such, and of course staff welfare. and competence by the staff. It's only the regulators that will ensure that such is maintained in accordance with the best global best practices. So far, I will say yes, but there is need to do more.
Okay. We want to thank you for coming, retired Air Commodore Ademola Onitiju. But before we go, MRO, you spoke about capital flight. Briefly, what can be done? Successive administrations have tried to make sure that we have at least 2 or 3 competent standard MRO hangars across Nigeria. What can be done?
Incidentally, I am an MRO enthusiast. Since I left the service, I've made efforts to collaborate with people to ensure that we are able to have the semblance of a national hangar project. But the rot in the system frustrates efforts. By that I mean, we know the basic is capital. It's a capital intensive venture. And it's highly competitive too, in terms of Boeing is the largest aircraft manufacturer in the world. The Chinese are close to its heels, and I think visibly followed by Airbus, Embraer, and the rest. In the past, there had been efforts to put up a national hangar project. I think it was during General Bangida's time. But as with most things in Nigeria, policy inconsistency and absence of continuity, it kills such dreams. But then, when I left the service, I felt that it's something that we could pick up, but that it has to be private sector driven. Yeah, get people who have capital out there, say preferably in the United States, which is the home to the biggest aircraft manufacturer, and get a construction company that could be acceptable to such persons. And then the financing, so that as milestones are attained, they get paid out there. But here too, Nigeria is a large space, a large market. Most of the operators on the Nigerian airspace, they fly Boeing aircraft, even in the West and Central Africa especially. That is the market, because we made some research along such line to look at what is the market for it. And if you are able to bring a very modern one into Nigeria, the various test benches, equipment, workshops that are required, including engine bays, whereby you can turn the engines, recondition them, and make them anew again. And of course, the hangar, where electrical and instruments will be handled, avionics generally, and the airframe. All this, there are equipment that you use to test the viability or strength of such parts, such that by the time they finish, it's a new aircraft you have out there. Just fix the engine and they're gone. So we felt that could be done here. But there are too many obstacles, especially during the last dispensation. And even Lagos State government, I had cause to approach Lagos State because of the Lekki City Airport being proposed.
Yes.
So I trust them as usual. The paper went there, I think, sometime in 2023, I think. I met, I think, the special advisor or special project or something of that nature. Again, when you receive cold shoulders, you just leave them alone. So those are some of the things. Let's remove some of these corrupted tendencies and inability to see common good and national interest in projects. So those are the things. So long as we have that in our system, there are so many dreams that will not be realized. Same thing with impunity. If you are used to not being punished for bad behavior, it will further strengthen all these sort of things. So that's the much I can say on that for now.
Well, I hope one way or the other, MRO hangars will come on board Nigeria at the soonest opportunity. All these identified obstacles will be removed so that the capital flight will greatly be reduced.
Definitely. Because the amount being sent outside and in foreign currency too, to have aircraft maintenance done is quite huge. Such will be here in this economy. And several other countries of the West Africa and Central Africa wouldn't have a choice than to bring their planes here.
Yeah.
And being new, it will definitely be attractive. It will not be as crowded, so to speak, for space. And such facilities will have facilities for the ferrying team that has good into the economy. Refreshment activities, entertainment, and all while they are here, awaiting their planes. So it's a money spin. It's a money spinner.
Retired Air Commodore Ademola Onitiju, President, Aviation Roundtable Initiatives. It's my pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.
And we really enjoyed what we discussed. Yes, aviation, aerospace development definitely will be moved forward with personnel like you within the aviation sector. We hope that government, policy formulators, and executors will listen to wise counsel from people like you and your body too, so that Nigeria will be better for it. I thank you very much for finding time to come. It's been yes, sir. It's been 2 years of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration. We've done today aviation and aerospace development. Subsequent edition, definitely we can going to look at what we called marine and blue economy. So we'll be moving from the blue sky to the deep sky. And I bet you those two modes of transportation are very key to the socio-economic development of any nation. Well, the time is still though. Continue to be your brother's keeper. Compassion is the key word. That way, the tension in the society will be reduced. Till next time, bye-bye for now.